Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jordan, also known as J-Monster. I want to thank you guys for watching the official Third Age Reforged YouTube channel. Today I have a 2 versus 2 on Third Age Reforged. We're going to be playing on patch 0.96. This is not the test build. This is the current build available to everybody. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the army comps, and then finally we'll jump into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. The first army we're going to look at today is the Kingdom of Umbar, being commanded by one of our lead developers. This is Sin of the Dark Cloud, and he's opted for a very cost-effective front line composed of Belgier Footmen and Corsair Pikemen. I believe he's got about 4 of each of those units. He's also got some Corsair Archers, 1 or 2 units of Corsair Archers, a couple units of Corsair Crossbows as well. Very skirmish-heavy army with Umbar, something that Sin seems to have been experimenting with a fair amount lately. He's also got a unit here of Casimir's Chosen, who are going to be hidden. 1 unit of Numenorian Lancers, 1 unit of his Warlords of Umbar Bodyguard, 1 unit of Casimir's Legion, and the Naru Naru Rail Guard, who currently are extremely broken with their 20 melee defense and their AP. Rest assured that will be changing in the upcoming stat hotfix. That's something that kind of got away on us a little bit there. Sin also brings some Aberzani Narduzagar, who are a deadly two-handed sword unit, and they're going to be getting a little bit of a price decrease in the upcoming patch, as are all human swordsmen by 50 florins, so they'll be much more affordable to add to your army compositions. Well, that does it for Sin of the Dark Cloud's army. I think that's everything that he's brought, so let's move on now to his ally. Are they a kingdom, a confederation? I'm not sure, but these are the Haradrim, being commanded by General WVPM, who has a name that is just designed to trip me up. And he's bringing some Serpent Guard, 1 unit here of the Serpent Guard, 1 unit of Black Serpent Bodyguard, which is going to be hanging out over here. And I believe this has his general in it. Indeed. No, actually I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure where his general's going to be hiding out. Maybe in the Mumakil. He's also got a second company here of Serpent Guard, so a lot of fast-moving light cavalry here. Going to be a pain for his opponents to deal with. 1 unit of Mumakil, who are an interesting unit. We removed one of their hardest counters, that being javelins, but we've kind of buffed their other soft counters a little bit more. So now Mumakil are useful again, and not easily shut down by a single unit of hand-thrown projectiles. So that's nice, and the Mumakil are of course very deadly, very efficient shock troops. They're good at doing what they do, disrupting enemy formations, causing terror, and potentially mass routes as well. General WVPM also brings some Southron Warbands, who are a little bit changed in the upcoming fix, but if you guys want to hear more about that, go and check out my Harad video, which there will be a link to my channel in the description. I also bring some Muhad Warriors, who are going to be a lot more important for Harad in the upcoming fix. Harad and Spearmen, who are going to be getting a little bit less expensive, and some Southron Archers. Just a ton of chaff here to make up his main line and his skirmish companies. Some Haradrim Archers, more Haradrim Spearmen, and some Southron Warbands. We got some more Muhad Berserkers, and of course, Trollmen of Harad. Very deadly, and I think he's got a second company of them over here in his center. Fear-causing AP, multiple HP. They are very, very deadly. Their biggest drawback is their low melee defense and their low armor. But that does it for the attacking. We're going to call them the attacking force now. We'll call them Team Blue for expediency's sake. And let's take a look at what Team Red has brought to the battlefield today. Across the field from Harad, we have the well-ordered and serried ranks of the Men of Arnor. This is Arthedain, being commanded by SS Caesar. He's got some Arthedain pikemen, of course. I believe 1, 2, 3 companies of them. He's also going to be backing them up with some Fornost Irene Knights, which is an interesting way to mix it up. Mostly these units are quite vulnerable to missiles. They really rely very heavily on their armor saves. But yeah, not a lot of shields here mixed in with the pikes. But I guess maybe Caesar wasn't expecting to get shot to pieces. Over here we got some Evendim Archers, who... short word on Archers, that for the upcoming patch, the Archer Company numbers are all being stabilized, and there will be a changelog that kind of outlines how that's going to work. But yeah, something you need to keep in mind is that Archer numbers are going to be a little bit more in certain cases, a little bit less in others. It's all just being a little bit more standardized. Moving on now, we got some Arthedain Marksmen here, 2 companies of them, a solid line of skirmishers to back up his pike block. And let's take a look at some of his reserves. He's got 1 unit here of the Dismounted Knights of Anuminas, and then we've got the Cavalry, the pride and joy of Arnor. This is what they really specialize in, cavalry, and in particular, Dunedain Cavalry. So we have the Mounted Dunedain Company here, I believe 2 units of them, and 1 unit of the Knights of Anuminas, who are a knight unit, very deadly against infantry, against other cavalry, but they are quite low in number and very expensive, so it is an investment. I think that does it for the men of Arnor. I think, although there might be a unit of Dunedain Rangers hiding around here somewhere, not too sure. Let's move on now to his ally. We have the High Elves, the Realm of Imladris, being commanded by Solomon. He's got a couple units of Eldarinwe Heru Hatal, which is a wonderful word to say when you're talking quickly. They are a strong swordsman, not swordsman, they are a strong spear unit, a lot of defense, and a lot of armor. Very good at holding the line. They can also deal with other heavy infantry reasonably well, just because of how high their defense stats are. They will simply outlast them. Over here we have the Eldarinwe Heru Mairo, which is like the Eldarinwe Horse Lords, and these are a heavy cavalry unit, heavy shock cavalry unit I should say. A lot of charge behind these guys. They will do a ton of work off the charge. Over here we have a main line composed of Eldar Tar, who are getting a nice buff in the upcoming stat hotfix. They're going to be getting a lot more damage, a little bit more melee defense. That's because right now they're balanced as being a pike unit, but that is going to be changing. They're going to be moving to two-handed spears. And they've also got a really nice armor upgrade model here that has been brought to you courtesy of Arthalion, who is a very talented modeler and texture artist. Also got a unit here in the back of Eldarinwe Heru Quinga, which is like Eldarinwe Bow Lords or something like that. Very, very strong range supremacy unit. Long range, high accuracy. About as high as it can go, as high as any Wood Elf or Lorien counterpart. Very deadly unit indeed. Quite expensive, however, and not multiple HP. Out in front, we got a couple units here of the Eldarinwe Heru Quinga with their armor upgrades, again courtesy of Arthalion, who look fantastic. Also, quite a cost-effective unit. For the Elves, generally the Elven units tend to have about 16 ammunition on their bow units. However, the low-tier units like the Eldar Quinga have 20 ammunition, so they're very good at fighting for a long period of time and using up your enemy's resources, which is really what you want to try and do in a skirmish fight as Imladris. You're not going to win any medals in a skirmish fight, but you can outlast your opponents and can make them pay for it reasonably well with your Elven damage and accuracy. But I think that just about does it. No, actually, we have some more cavalry over here. We have some Gwaith-i Rakdor, who are getting a nice buff as well. They're going to be made into proper knights, so they're not going to be just lancers anymore. So these guys are going to be extremely deadly, but of course they will be quite expensive, moving up to about 1,500 florins to bring the single unit. And then we have some Imladris Sentinels, who are a very versatile unit. They are a lancer unit with an AP charge, but they're also spear cavalry. So in close quarters against other cavalry, these guys will do very, very well for themselves and trade quite effectively. The trade-off for that is that they are not as effective in melee against infantry, but that's not so bad since you don't usually want to leave your lancers in melee against other infantrymen anyway. But that does it for Red Team. Let's go ahead and get the battle started. Now, it would seem that Harad's strategy the entire time was to try and rush Arthedain. So instead of rushing straight forward and taking on their entire line at once, they're going to concentrate all of their forces over here on the Arthedain left wing. And Arthedain is going to be, I would imagine, in a bit of a panic. They've got Mumakil, they've got thousands of Haradrim tribesmen bearing down on their left wing, looking to break it and roll up their lines. So those archers firing frantically into the mass of Haradrim troops as they move forward. That is going to reap a terrible toll amongst the ranks of the men of Harad, because their big weakness is, of course, that they are quite lightly armored. So the longer they spend out of melee and getting shot by these archers, the better off the Arthedain player is going to be, and they're really trying to focus fire down. I think they're going after the Trollmen. Units like the Trollmen from the front will stand up reasonably well to archer fire with their 9 missile damage, but there's some Rangers in there as well. Ooh, and there's some cavalry coming in from the Arthedain player, charging in to the Haradrim archers, trying to rout them off the field, which they may be successful in doing. Let's slow things down, though. Move just a little bit closer onto the Arthedain line. Looks like they had some hidden units here. Some Bandabrass archers, some Dunedain Rangers, and a ton of Hobbit slingers. This is a very skirmish-heavy Arthedain force. Although, what that is going to amount to is going to be pretty unclear, as the Mumakil are now circumventing the Arthedain left wing, and they're going to come in against all of these skirmish companies, and this is going to be really ugly. Let's go ahead and kick it into full speed, and we can really enjoy this. Brutal charge here, just as the lines meet by the Mumakil, running amok amongst the Arthedain infantrymen and against their skirmishers, disrupting this entire left wing and threatening it with collapse. Looks like we had some hidden Hobbitry men-at-arms here, or hobbits at arms, to support the Arthedain pikemen, but now that support has been stripped away by that deadly charge from the Mumakil, Harad player going to be following that up with some charges here from his Black Serpent bodyguard. We got this Serpent Guard in the back, patrolling, looking for an opportunity, and they're going to be going against the Hobbit Slingers as well. The Haradrim General, unfortunately, charging himself into the pike blocks. He was inside the Mumakil, and he's going to get dropped by those long and pointy sticks. But the Haradrim are definitely into the Arthedain back lines here, and very much in a good position to break the Arthedain wing and scatter the rest of their forces. But unfortunately for the Haradrim, the Arthedain cavalry is going to have something to say about it. Coming in from the rear, they're charging into the Trollmen of Harad, doing a lot of damage to them. The powerhouse units from Harad are being shut down quite handily here, and Arthedain is really starting to bring back the infantry fights. At least where their forces are managing to stand strong. Over here, the Arthedain pikemen are in danger of being overwhelmed by a massive spearmen and Muhan tribesmen. And I don't think that unit is going to be able to stand for too much longer, but in the center, they're holding reasonably well. And with all these pikes and all these units charging into the pikes, the Arthedain pikemen are going to be able to reap a terrible, bloody toll from the ranks of the Haradrim. Well, let's slow it down just a little bit, move on over to the Umbar High Elf side of things, where the approach has been much more measured. Sin moving forward slowly but surely with some of his lesser skirmishers, trying to use up the ammunition of the admittedly fairly limited High Elven skirmish line before he moves in with the rest of his army. So things are going to be slow going here on the red team right wing. Let's pop back on over to the Arthedain Harad showdown. And it's an absolute massacre for both sides. Let's say the High Elves have sent some of their heavier units here. We got some Eldarin Wehedu Hatal, who are aiding the men of Arthedain in routing this Haradrim force. You can see a lot of breaking, especially because that general went down so early. Some of these units, like the Haradrim Spearmen, are quite low tier, but the Muhad warriors have a significant amount of morale, and so it takes a lot to break them, and the loss of a general is one of those things that can cause mass panic, even amongst the hardened Muhad tribesmen. Rear charge here from the Serpent Guard into the Arthedain pikemen, going to be quite nasty, but once those pikes turn around, the Serpent Guard are going to be in for a bit of a nasty surprise. Of course, pikemen have very, very sizable bonuses against cavalry. Got some Eldarin Wehedu Maidro coming in as well, hoping to potentially make sure that a lot of these Haradrim forces do not reform. In fact, that would be a very good use of these guys, running down some of these units so that they do not reform. That's the last thing I think that's the Arthedain High Elf players want right now, is a ton of Haradrim, vengeful Haradrim tribesmen coming into their back lines. A very nice pincer movement here from 2 units of cavalry, one from the Arthedain player, one from the High Elven player. Going to sandwich a lot of those South-Run archers, and it looks like that's going to cause mass panic here and rout the South-Runs in their hundreds, and they're going to be cut down by the vengeful cavalry of Arthedain and the realm of Imladris. Over here, the infantry fight very much in favor of Arthedain, with a little bit of help from their High Elven allies. They've succeeded in destroying the vast majority, a little bit of lag there, of the Haradrim troops, and only some of the more hardy units, like the Trollmen of Harad, are going to be able to stand and fight for any period of time. Although there is still the Haradrim cavalry in their back, which is... this is definitely a problem for them. A lot of their cavalry is out here mopping up the infantry fight that they're already in the process of winning, while the Haradrim cavalry is still reasonably healthy and able to do a lot of work against the back lines. A lot of these skirmishers would be very, very useful when it comes to taking down Arthedain, firing basically point blank, getting some nice enfilading fire here, stationed up on that hill. They can do a lot of work against the more lightly armored Umbar main line, but Harad is trying to make sure that doesn't happen, and they're scything down the Arthedain skirmishers by their dozens. D9 Ranger is going to take a big charge here from the Black Serpent Bodyguard, and that's going to be enough to destroy them. Most of Haradrim's army has melted away, but those cavalry are still posing a big, big problem. And yeah, I think that's going to potentially tell in the later game against the red team. Over here, Eldarin Wehedu Maidro charging into some Muhad warriors who reformed like I suspected that they would. Southwind archers here also firing in with their Haradrim archers into the Eldarin Wehedu Maidro. Although from the front, their high shield values and high armor is going to be more than enough to keep them safe, and they're going to be able to deal with those Muhan warriors fairly swiftly, but still, this is diverting resources that could be useful elsewhere. Dealing with the Umbar cavalry, for example, which it seems the High Elves are having a little bit of trouble doing right now. Gwaiti Rakdor getting potentially sandwiched here by some Númenórean Lancers. Just one company here of Númenórean Lancers and the Warlords of Umbar, although they are going to be pulled out to deal with another attack here from the High Elven Cavalry. Imladris Sentinel Spear Cavalry charging hard into the Crossbow Corsairs. The Warlords of Umbar in danger of potentially getting sandwiched, but it looks like the Imladris Sentinel is going to go after the Crossbow Corsairs instead, who are reaping a terrible toll amongst the Imladris Sentinels, firing point blank into them. This is a tough fight here for the High Elven Cavalry. Against the Númenórean Lancers, they're going to have no problem. But against this Knight unit here, the Imladris sentries have fallen apart quite quickly, and they haven't really managed to do a lot of damage to the Warlords of Umbar in return. So Imladris is going to pull out of there, not wanting to waste his 2 units of very expensive cavalry, and he's going to go after a Ranger unit hiding in the back here. Looks like Sin of the Dark Cloud has some hidden Rangers. And now they're going to be the subject of the tender mercies of the High Elven Sentinels. They're going to be charging these guys down. That's going to do a lot of damage, and Sin of the Dark Cloud doesn't really have anything nearby that can stop them, although it is worth noting that the formation here of the Immolator Sentinel, Solomon, obviously in a big hurry to get his cavalry out of there and to get some damage done on these Rangers, didn't bother to widen their formations. And now they're all going to charge into the center, which is not ideal. If those units had widened themselves a little bit and charged home into the front of the Casimir's Rangers, those 2 charges would have wiped out the entire unit. But as it is, they're only going to have to content themselves with maybe about 20 or so casualties before they are forced to retreat by the Warlords of Umbar. Let's move on over here. Looks like we got some of the Black Serpent bodyguards getting themselves entangled with some Arthedain pikemen. Obviously not a good place for these guys to be. But Arthedain is now moving to the aid of their ally, having dealt with the majority of the Herodin forces. Although again, some more units that have come back from routing that the red team didn't deal with are here holding out more resources. And actually they're going to be holding a unit of Even Dim Marchers in place for the Serpent Guard to come in and charge home. And that's going to do a fair amount of damage to the Even Dim Marchers and waste yet more of Arthedain's resources that could be extremely valuable right now, firing into the rear of the Umbar line. Arthedain pikemen moving in for a flanking movement alongside the Eldorinwe Heru Masil, who apparently I missed as a 2-handed sword unit. Very, very elite, very, very damaging. Composed of Noldor veterans from the First Age. And Arthedain is going to be coming in like a wrecking ball here on Sin of the Dark Cloud's right wing, and his line is in danger of collapse unless he does something drastic. And I think that's going to come in the form of the Numenorian Lancers here, charging hard into the rear of the Knights of Inuminas. A charge like that from the rear can do a lot of damage, even to a unit like the Knights of Inuminas, very heavily armored. But unfortunately, the Numenorian Lancers didn't manage to get the best charge there, and if those Knights of Inuminas turn around, they're going to be able to deal with them quite swiftly. After sending Marduzagar routing for some reason, not too sure what happened, probably the result of a charge from the Gwythi Rockdor, who are just running rampant all over Sin of the Dark Cloud's lines right now. But there is some mistakes to be made that are being made here, I think. At this point, Harad has been destroyed, and I think the red team is very confident of their victory here, so they're going to push and be as aggressive as possible and try and deal with Sin of the Dark Cloud's forces. But there is still some things that they have kind of left behind. Haradrim infantry, for example, that has reformed, a very healthy unit here of Black Serpent bodyguards with still 19 left in the unit, still got 2/3 of their unit strength left, and they have no cavalry over here to help them defend themselves. And look at this, yet more reforming units have moved in against the Eldar Quinga here, and that is going to slow down the High Elven skirmish line. They have a great opportunity to deal with some important AP units here, like the Crossbow Corsairs, for example, who are now firing into the Gwythi Rockdor. So it looks like Team Red has Team Blue on the back foot, but I think the Team Blue are well poised to swing this around back in their favor with a little bit of teamwork and a little bit of luck. So using their cavalry out here in the field like this, I mean, once you get started and you think you're going to win, it's hard to get yourself to stop and pull back and consolidate. But I think that is a big mistake that's being made by Team Red here, and it could potentially have some serious consequences for them a little bit later on down the line. But let's go ahead, turn things back up here. Sin of the Dark Cloud trying to counteract this flanking movement here from Arthedain with 2 of his elite companies. Got the Casimir's Legion backing up a unit of Narnar Sentinels, and together this is a very, very strong anvil that the few remaining forces of Arthedain could potentially break themselves against, especially with all of this cav now circling in for the kill in their back lines. Black Serpent Bodyguard charging home into the Arthedain pikemen, who I don't think are going to be able to turn around in time, and that is going to be nasty. A lot of those Arthedain pikemen are going to fall there from the opportunistic charge. What do we got back here? Eldarin Hedu Hatal getting way too far ahead of themselves, charged in the rear now by the Numenorian Lancers, who are devastating on the charge. They're going to be backed up with some Warlords of Umbar. I think we're going to see that unit of Noldoran veterans break. The Eldarin Hedu Hatal, outnumbered and outmaneuvered, are going to begin to flee the field. Ooh, a little bit of lag there. Sorry about that, guys. Well, let's see. Back here we have some Eladra Sentinels who have been routed or almost completely destroyed by the Crossbow Corsairs, and just the sheer amount of skirmishing power that Sin of the Dark Cloud has brought. Again, if they had widened their formation, they would not have to be dealing with this unit of Casimir's Rangers, which would be a big boon, I think. They were firing point blank into the back of the Eladra Sentinels while they were dealing with the Crossbow Corsairs. That would have been a lot of money sunk down the drain from Sin of the Dark Cloud, and potentially would have saved this cavalry unit's life for a little bit later on in the game. Let's see what we got here. So now that this flanking movement has pushed so deep into the Umbar lines, And Sin of the Dark Cloud has moved in with some of his reinforcements. He's actually managed to kind of turn the tide here, almost single-handedly with these 2 units. Narnar Sentinels backed up by the Casimir's Legion, now surrounding the reinforcements here from Team Red. I think we might start to see this turn into potentially a victory for Team Blue. Muhad Warriors being extinguished by the Eldar Quinga, but both of those units have been occupied for quite some time dealing with these Muhad Warriors, and that has allowed Team Blue to regain the initiative. Nice hammer and anvil charge here by the Gwythi Rockdor into the rear of the Casimir's Legion. Narnar Sentinels weren't able to turn around in time, and unfortunately they're being occupied by the Arthedain pikemen from the front. Not quite as effective, I think, as the Realm of Mlados needed that to be. Got some Eldar Enwe Herumairo in the back here. They're going to be taking fire from Corsair Archers, from Corsair Crossbowmen, and some Ampersand Minar Bawib, who I haven't noticed until just this moment. So Sin has a lot of skirmishing power, and he's bearing it all down at the same time on the Eldar Enwe Herumairo, and it is starting to take a toll, even with the high armor values. Over here, the Gwythi Rockdor really picked the wrong party to attend here. The Warlords of Umbar still very healthy as well. A lot of Blue Team Cavalry still doing quite well for themselves on the battlefield, still very healthy and almost unopposed because of the absence of the Red Team Cavalry earlier on in the battle. And now the Warlords of Umbar are going to be able to run off the Gwythi Rockdor and move around to try and circumvent Team Red's right wing and get in behind and potentially flatten another unit here of the Eldar Enwe Hedu Hatal, who are giving the Corsair Infantry a real run for their money right now. Sure, we have over here Eldar Itar, just kind of standing around, not really doing a whole lot against the Corsair pikemen right now, but I think Solomon is going to try and move them into perhaps the rear of the Eldar Enwe Hedu Hatal and defend them from a cav charge from those Warlords of Umbar. But let's see what's going on elsewhere on the battlefields. Over here, despite Sin of the Dark Cloud's best efforts, his hammer is being overrun by just the sheer number of Red Team troops here. Sin of the Dark Cloud trying to even out the fight a little bit with a charge from his Numenorian Lancers into the rear of the Eldar Enwe Hedu Masil and the dismounted Fornasti Rain Knights. Not as effective, I think, as he wanted it to be. Finally, the Muhad Warriors have been driven off the Eldar Quinga, now free to do a little bit of damage. But, oh, looks like the Warlords of Umbar managed to get their rear charge against the Eldar Enwe Hedu Hatal. And that might turn this battle in favor. Now the Corsair pikemen are starting to bring it back. Really starting to slaughter the Eldar Enwe Hedu Hatal. Ooh, Eldar Itar trying to put up a wall of spears here to hold up the Warlords of Umbar, but they're going to be bypassed by the majority of the unit, and they're going to charge home into the Eldar Enwe Hedu Quinga from the rear now. Black Serpent's coming in. Some great teamwork here on the part of Team Blue. Team Red trying to come in from the rear with their Gwythi Rockdor, run down the remaining Black Serpents. But this is a big win for them here, really picking apart some important assets, bringing their team back from the brink of defeat. Ooh, man, those Eldar Quinga got flattened. And they're going to pull out, having taken significant casualties, actually, at least on the Warlords of Umbar. I'm thinking about 7 or so casualties there. The Black Serpent bodyguards slowly getting driven into the dirt, but they're going to charge now from the flank, rather, into the Eldar Enwe Hedu Hatal. A lot of them ending up on the front of the unit, however. And that is going to be devastating for the Black Serpent bodyguards. Gwythi Rockdar coming in from the rear, trying to kill this unit of Black Serpent bodyguards that has been such a thorn in their side. Looks like the Warlords of Umbar are going to be charging into the Eldar Quinga again, although there are some reinforcing spears nearby. So if Solomon were to turn these guys around and capitalize on this, he could be able to inflict some more casualties on the Warlords of Umbar. But I think Sin of the Dark Cloud is probably going to pull them out of there pretty quickly. See how things are going elsewhere. In the center, it looks like Umbar's infantry is starting to pull it back a little bit. This is really where a lot of attention is being paid right now by the Red Team, and I don't think it's worth it. This big bunch here is just being focused down by Sin of the Dark Cloud's skirmishers. So the advantage that they had earlier on in the game by destroying Harad quickly and easily is kind of being shrunk here a little bit. Let's take a look at the percentages. They are now dead even. Warlords of Umbar still very healthy. Gwythi Rockdar doing their best. Casimir's Rangers now being brought to bear against the Elven line. And with that body piercing, they're going to be a terror. Ooh, what do we got here? Rear charge into the Warlords of Umbar. Big lapse here on the part of Sin of the Dark Cloud. That is potentially going to be very costly for him. Any of those Warlords of Umbar fall? It looks like maybe 1 or 2, but they definitely shaved off a lot of the HP from this unit. Black Serpent Bodyguard now down to a meager 5. Slowly but surely, blue team has managed to grind down, or red team rather, has managed to grind down the blue team's cavalry, but at what cost? It has cost them a lot of lives of both elves and men, and a ton of resources and attention that's could have been used elsewhere in the battlefield for winning the infantry fight. Yeah, I think using their cavalry so aggressively early on and taking so much damage is really starting to tell against the red team here. Those 2 units of Imladra sentries, for example, would have been an excellent cost-effective counter to a unit like the Black Serpent Bodyguards or the Warlords of Umbar, which are both charging now together into the rear of this Eldar Itar. Now that unit is in danger of collapse, and that would be the end of the High Elven Center. We got here the Warlords of Umbar now locked in battling with the Gwythi Roktor and the Eldar Itar. But still, the damage has been done. The back lines here being absolutely flattened. Meanwhile, so much of their killing power is elsewhere and being focused down by crossbow units, by Corsair archers, by everything that Sin of the Dark Cloud can throw at them. Now I think we're going to start to see the blue team pull ahead a little bit, and indeed they are by about 2%. So this is looking fairly catastrophic here for the blue team. Let's kick it in the normal speed. Eldar Itar going to get routed here by a charge from the Warlords of Umbar. Casimir's Rangers now being brought in for some beautiful enfilading fire angles, and they're going to be able to just destroy anything that's in their path. You can see the Eldar Itar there just getting massacred by that body piercing, and now the High Elven Center has broken. Of course, their pikemen really paid a steep toll for trying to push through here, but the damage is done. Eldarinwi Heru Hatal probably going to be able to rout what's left of the Corsair pikes, unless there's some support that comes in from many of these other nearby Umbar units. And looks like that is going to be the case. Eldarinwi Heru Masil now routing hammer and anvil charges going in to what remains of the red team's strength over here, and this is really unfortunate for them. So let's go ahead and kick it into the 2x speed and witness the end of the red team. That's of Numinos in there, along with some of the remaining elves and Maladris. Well, they are just being cycle charged into oblivion by the remaining blue team cavalry of Sin of the Dark Cloud. Very unfortunate for them. I really thought they had this in the bag for a while, but early on you were starting to kind of see the problems. They got a little bit over-eager, I think. Thought that they had victory in the bag since they took out Harad so early. And yeah, they ended up getting a little bit sloppy and allowing the cavalry of the blue team to run roughshod all over them, which is very unfortunate for them and their aspirations of victory. Still a couple of Black Serpents left over, too. More breaking there from the remaining elves of Imladris. Let's go ahead and slow it down here. Narnar Royal Guard going toe-to-toe with the Dismounted Knights of Inuminas. Normally that's not a fight that this unit would win, but as I said, currently that unit is a little bit overpowered, and they do have AP. So the Dismounted Knights of Inuminas are going to find themselves in a pretty bad position. More cavalry charges coming in from the admittedly very small numbers of cavalry still left to Sin of the Dark Cloud, but they have more than paid for themselves in this battle. What do we got over here? A couple units of Gwythi Roktor alongside the Elven General still around. Still trying to do what damage they can and charge down these Corsair crossbows. Oof, but the damage is definitely done. Oh, and there goes the Elven General. And that's going to be it for the Elven player, Eldarinwi Heru Hatal, routing in the face of overwhelming odds. We've seen a lot of routing from the Eldar units, but unfortunately they were allowed to be isolated and surrounded and that sort of thing, so while it is a difficult unit to rout with their like 18 or 19 morale, it does happen, and this is the kind of situations that it happens in. Corsair archers, and I think maybe Corsair crossbows as well. Nope. Just Corsair archers firing basically point blank into the Dismounted Knights of Inuminas. We're going to go ahead and we're going to fast forward this, kick it up to 6 times speed, and there goes the Arthedain General. And Umbar, and can I really say Harad at this point when they've only got a couple units of Serpent Guard left? I suppose I can. Umbar and what remains of their ally Harad are going to be victorious. Final count is going to be 90% to 97. A fairly close battle, but yeah, you can really see Sin of the Dark Cloud team start to pull that back even earlier on in the battle. So yeah, great play from both teams. Again, Red team did really well early on, and I think if they had kept up that pace, they would have been able to win that. But I think maybe they thought it was in the bag. The victory was going to be an easy one, and they allowed themselves to be overrun. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you'll join me again for whatever comes next. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!